title is down here. All right. Hello, hello. All right, if you guys want to come in and sit down and fill in the spaces, we're going to try to honor your time tonight, but we need to get started, so please come in and fill in the spaces. This may be the most exciting program all year, so you're going to want to have a seat so you don't fall over. All right, thank you. Come on in. How's the sound? Can you guys hear me? Raise your hand in the back if you can hear me talking. Awesome. Okay, good. All right. Come on in, guys. And ladies. Do you want to shut those doors or no? All right, if you don't come in now, the doors may be shut, which you will probably just open, but that's okay. Got a little mic issue. Is that better? Okay. It's loud. Okay. I may just do this. All right, let's get started. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. My name is Trey Bowles. I am the CEO and co-founder of the Dallas Entrepreneur Center. The Dallas Entrepreneur Center was created to be a central hub to provide entrepreneurs with education, training, mentorship, access to capital, promotion, and all the resources necessary to be able to start, build, and grow companies. Secondarily, we really wanted to take a focus on highlighting what we knew, which was Dallas was a huge hub for entrepreneurs across the country. And I think that whether you know that or agree with that, by the end of tonight, you will definitely be on the same page with us. Why did we start this State of Entrepreneurship address? This is actually the second annual State of Entrepreneurship address. You probably didn't know that because not as nearly as many people came to the first inaugural State of Entrepreneurship address. But there were so many different things going on in the city. There was the state of the city and the state of education and the state of this and the state of that. And we thought, well, gosh, we got to grab the State of Entrepreneurship before somebody else did. And we did. And we really had a 3-year vision to it. In the first year, we actually combined with the official launch of the deck. That's what we call the Dallas Entrepreneur Center for short. And it was this idea, and that event was called A View from the Deck, and we sort of talked about some of the great things that were going on all across North Texas. We created this really cool infographic. We partnered with the Dallas Regional Chamber and put together some amazing things. Our creative director, Dave Gupta, who's here tonight and developed all the creative you'll see here, was an instrumental piece of that. But the idea was, why is Dallas-Fort Worth a great place for startups to be? And that's what we did last year. And you can still find that infographic online. And we'll post stuff like that after the event tonight so you can see it. But I think that was a real awakening for a lot of people in the community that there was actually something really exciting going on, not just in downtown, not just in Dallas, but all across North Texas. And so the goal for the second year, which is this year, was, all right, let's have an event. Let's have it at our location. We can fit, 150 people or so there. And we'll begin to engage the community, right? Because the importance of what we're trying to accomplish in North Texas isn't about one organization, isn't about one incubator or one university. It's about all this activity that's happening. And so we wanted to begin to engage the community. So we set this event up. It was set up at our place. In about, 3 or 4 hours, we were out of tickets. And we thought, wow, we got to year 3 before we finished year 2. So we came and found this amazing venue. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys have been here before, but this is super exciting and just a beautiful view of our downtown, which, as many of you may know, is the #1 skyline in the world. It's not, I'm not making that up. It's actually true. There's a USA Today called it the #1 skyline in the world. So on that. So as we continue to grow, as we continue to see exciting things happen in the community, we hope this event will also grow, and that every year you'll have the opportunity to come back to see the progress and growth and excitement and innovation that's happening in this room and in this city and in this region. And we are excited tonight to see our presenters come up and talk about all the great things that are going on. And we're really, really happy and feel very blessed that you'd be here, especially during the holiday season. Before we start tonight, we're going to several times throughout the night thank our sponsors. Sponsors are so important to this. One of the things we talk about as the community of entrepreneurs here is that we all play a different role. Some of us are entrepreneurs and starting companies. Some of us are mentors that are actually giving back and spending time. Some of us are organizations that supply funding and support for nonprofits and for-profit organizations, and we could not do this without this. So I know that often we talk about our sponsors, but it is such a crucial part of what runs this community. We truly appreciate each and every one of you for what you do for us and for all the organizations here. So I'd like to thank our title sponsor, AT&T, tonight for making this possible, and would like to introduce Holly Reed to come up to the stage and say a little bit about why they did this.
Thanks, Trey. I would say that judging from this room, the state of entrepreneurship is strong. Let me say that again. The state of entrepreneurship is strong. We're proud to be a part of that, not just here tonight, not just in the shadow of our intergalactic world headquarters that is just up the street. We are headquartered here in town. Thank you, John. But we also try to walk the walk. Not only do we have a major presence here downtown, but one of our significant innovation and collaboration spaces, similar to the deck, and it was the first of 4 that we opened up globally, is in Plano, and it's called the Foundry. We do a lot of machine-to-machine work. We do a lot of creativity and collaboration with our partners, whether they be developers or suppliers or customers. And it's fun to see what those hackathons and that innovation will drive. So we feel like we are part of the entrepreneurial spirit that is driving Dallas and is a testimony today. And if you have a product or a service that you want to get to the market, we want to help you do that because we want to help you connect it to the world and to your customers and to your friends. So we're proud to be a supporter. We want you to be successful. We want our hometown to be the most entrepreneurial and innovative place on the planet. And I love that we got that accolade for our downtown skyline. Now let's power it up and make it so. Thank you, Trey. And with that, I will hand it over to the man who is in charge of that downtown skyline, John Crawford, who is the CEO of Downtown Dallas.
Thanks, Holly. Thank you, Holly. I appreciate that. I appreciate AT&T, and for those of you who read the USA Today poll, they obviously have not been to Hong Kong, but that's okay. We will take it any way we can get it. And I would just tell you that, and I think all of you will probably agree, it's really a great time to be in Dallas. It's a great time to be in North Texas. It's a great time to be in Texas for all the obvious reasons that you read and hear about all the time. But let me just say that it's becoming, I think, more and more inextricably tied together with the region. When we talk about downtown, when we talk about Dallas, you have to talk about the region. Whether you're talking about big corporate moves like Raytheon and McKinney, Toyota in Plano, State Farm in Richardson, well, that's a lot of jobs. But what most people don't know that is occurring is that along with that, we've got a lot of new jobs in the downtown area. For example, we've got 4 companies representing 5,000 new jobs just in downtown. 4 companies in 2 buildings representing 5,000 jobs. That's a lot. And if you look back, you bet, absolutely, we're very proud of that. But you have to think about it in the full context of what that means. For example, a lot of people from Toyota that I visited with, they're living in uptown and downtown. So all of our cultural areas, all of the things that we're now beginning to do right are in fact inextricably tied together, and you're going to continue, I think, to see that as we go forward. You know, a couple of those companies, Omnitrax and Active Network, who moved here from California, if you talk to them, and I was talking to Deborah, who you'll hear from, about that, and just ask their CEO, ask some of the CEOs that have moved here to wherever it might be, and they will tell you why they moved here, and there's no better example of what's going on than to listen to people from the outside looking in who don't do necessarily what I do every day, but that's where the rubber meets the road, and that's what the people are telling us. Just like AT&T, it's only been a few short years, and we wouldn't have all the things we have today without people like AT&T, who have brought their complement of many benefits to an area. Now, let me just give you just a 30-second company commercial. For those of you who don't know about Downtown Dallas, Inc., we are basically a private, nonprofit organization who serves as the champion steward and advocate for downtown. And it's significant in terms of the corporate relocations that we talked about. For years, downtown has been known as a commercial office center. It still is, by the way. But we have moved from a one-dimensional commercial office center to a multi-dimensional live, work, and play and invest and fun urban environment, and we haven't been able to say that for a real long time, that coming to the downtown area is fun, but we do that now. And that's part and parcel of all of the shift that's going on that we're here to talk about tonight. So it's not just all about large companies or relocations. You heard Trey talk about, and Holly mentioned some of the things as it relates to startup and the entrepreneurial community, and I don't want to be too redundant, but I would just tell you that downtown has had a huge surge in innovative technology companies that have come here. They're beginning to grow. They're doubling. They're increasing their space needs. And, you know, it hadn't been that long ago when we didn't have that, but pretty soon you're going to hear about lots of different technology districts that are springing up everywhere and that are going to be on the map individually, but collectively, as we spread, why Dallas, you're going to play a big role in that and hear a lot more about that. So let me just close in saying that if you want more information, all you got to do is go to our website, www.downtowndallas.com. It's now mobile, and you can find out all you wanted to know and probably a lot more. We are thrilled with the working effort that we've had with some of you in this room, and particularly Trey. We appreciate your commitment to excellence and what you're trying to do in bringing all this together. So we're glad to be part of it. We're glad you're here tonight. We're glad you're downtown. We're glad you're in Old Red. And so I'm going to turn it over to, I guess, our MC. Is that are you coming up now? Come on up, and I'll just turn it over to you. It's Mike Oren, and as president of Speakeasy, I believe. Yes. All right, good. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John. John touched on something, about how the downtown community and maybe our entrepreneurial community is very different than it was 10 or 15 years ago. And I'm convinced one of the reasons that Trey asked me to do this is because I have griped incessantly about how the gifts, the infrastructure, the experience, the investment that we have now weren't here when I did my first startup 15 years ago. It's needed, and we're starting to really see the fruits of it. My job is to welcome you officially to the second annual State of Entrepreneurship in Dallas. I'm Mike Oren. I'm the president of Speakeasy. We're a content marketing and social media firm, and we're proud to do a lot of work for the DEC. And to start, look around this room and how packed it is. This was unheard of in the startup community until recently. And as Trey mentioned, due to the overwhelming interest we had, they had to reopen registration twice and change the location from the Dallas Entrepreneur Center to this specific, beautiful and historic piece of Dallas history, the Old Red Museum and Courthouse. We're in fact also broadcasting online tonight so that we can reach everyone who wanted to see what was happening in North Texas in entrepreneurship. So we're looking forward to a great evening. An evening that's made possible by the support of many organizations and people. And we should start this off by thanking our title sponsor, AT&T, as well as our other key sponsors that include the Dallas Regional Chamber, Softlair, Vela Keller, Silicon Valley Bank, and TriNet. Let's give them all a big round of applause. This event was put together through the work of leaders from entrepreneurial organizations from across North Texas. These leaders, Trey and his team among them, tirelessly work to bring a more collaborative and supportive entrepreneurial ecosystem, making Dallas and all of North Texas a fertile ground for entrepreneurs to start, build, and grow their businesses. There's no single organization or individual who put the event together. It came to fruition through the collaborative efforts of all our groups working towards a common goal. Creating a community fueled by a give before you take mentality that fosters an environment where a rising tide raises all ships and even the tiniest entrepreneurial rowboats. This annual event shares the current state of local entrepreneurship. But more importantly, it lets us celebrate and recognize the entrepreneurial spirit that built this city and continues to drive its growth today. This year, that means stories like the hotter than sriracha startup scene in Denton. Yeah, Denton. I got a beard. The pioneering spirit of DFW's Women in Tech. And the exciting story of the growth of downtown Dallas as a hub for all things startup. To those of you out there in the interwebs listening via the first simulcast of this event at home, thank you for tuning in. You can also follow this event using the hashtag SOE2014 and by visiting SOE2014.thedeck.co. Now, please, I'd like to ask you to welcome our first speaker of the evening, Deborah Von Stork of EY, who will share with you the 3 powerful themes of this year that define the start of something big in North Texas.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, everybody. I am thrilled to be here because y'all energize me. This is awesome, and I feel younger again. I've been at EY 33 years, so I would be the old fart of the room, so thank you for energizing me. As Mike mentioned, there are 3 big things that I want to share with you tonight. The incredible hot startup scene in Denton. Wow, Denton. Women business pioneers. And thirdly, the shift from the garage to downtown. So in Texas, we've always talked about sports heroes, whether they're on the football field, the baseball field, the basketball court, or the ice rink. Our heroes now in Dallas are you guys. You guys and gals, the Texas entrepreneurs, are the homegrown heroes of Texas, and we cannot thank you enough. Because of you, this is one of the best places to live, work, and play. So thank you. So first off, let's talk about Denton's hot startup scene. There is no stronger term than hot. We know about hot, especially August in Texas. But these days, the hottest ticket has got to be Denton. The fact is that Denton has cooked up more homegrown entrepreneurs, artists, musicians, and they're creating a hub for startup, talent, and innovation. In fact, Denton has surpassed Travis County, a.k.a. Austin, as the number 6 on the list of the 25 best places to find a high-tech job. Denton, Texas. Woo! So chemistry is at work big time in Dallas. There's been over 77 meetups, including the first startup weekend, Denton, Open Coffee Club Denton, Open Hack Denton, Denton Jelly, and so many more. And what you have coming together is an ecosystem of nonprofit organizations, co-working space, tech mill, and others serving to make Denton a huge startup hub. Starting first in a coffee shop called Banter and moving recently into a new space called Square 205, there is so much planned for expansion in Denton. So if you're a real estate investor, head north. Denton's where it's at. That we also have two leaders today that I believe are here, Kyle Taylor and Carissa Redwine. Are y'all here? Raise your hand. We're proud of you. These guys are the curators of the weekly Startup Digest that goes out every Monday, and many of you probably get it. It's a weekly digest that's promoted over 970 events, has a community of 1,700 subscribers, and it's been going out for 45 weeks. I'm a CPA. That's a lot of math. They've sent out over 77,000 emails in 2014. That's congratulations to the Startup Digest. But it's also the officials of Dallas, the officials of Denton. Denton's where it's at. Dallas is doing well too, but Denton is where it's at. Connect Denton is a story that all North Texas can emulate. So all of us can learn from the way they've brought together their Economic Development Office, the University of North Texas's Greenhouse Innovation Center, and other technology advocates have come together in the city. And the city put in $220,000 into a downtown Denton technology initiative. So it is hot and happening in Denton. You guys got to go there. Okay, our second story is about the better half of entrepreneurs, and that would be the women. Women business, yeah. Atta girl. Okay, so really, nationally, Dallas women may be known for their fashion sense, their big heart, their big hair, their big attitude, but what we're proud of more than anything else is our big old entrepreneurs that are pioneering the way for innovation and entrepreneurship. And a lot of this is because of the leadership positions many women are taking. We now Texas ranks number 2 in the U.S. for the fastest growth in number of women-owned businesses since 1997. Number 2, we're kicking butt. So those big old stilettos are in action. Women are accelerating startups as founders and leaders, and we are blessed to have the Forbes Top 10 B2B Accelerator Tech Wildcatter here, as well as Kauffman Foundation's 1 Million Cups Dallas chapter. And these are led by women. Women with big hearts, big brains, and a lot of tenacity. And women are also accelerating startups at the Dallas chapter of Golden Seeds. Again, women leading an angel fund with 25 investors looking to start up and help other women entrepreneurs. So in 2014, we also celebrated the first ever North Texas Women in Technology Awards. Many of you were there. Congratulations to you. And at this event, it was presented by the Dallas Business Journal and Tech Exchange DFW. 25 female leaders were recognized for their role in advancing North Texas. Again, we are better than many other states, 49 other states. And coincidentally, this leadership happened while Tech Exchange DFW had its first female board president. Atta girl. Okay, D Magazine also got into the action with its cover story in September on Dallas women in leadership roles. And we made waves back into fashion. Billionaire female entrepreneur Tory Burch and Bank of America announced earlier last month the Elizabeth Street Capital Program will now be available in the Dallas market, providing $10 million in loans to women entrepreneurs. So you go, girl. Congratulations. So we've covered the Sriracha hot startup scene in Denton, Texas, which is more tech jobs than Travis County. We've got to remember that. We've talked about women entrepreneurs blazing the way. Now, the third big trend I want to share with you, which John referenced, is the shift from the garage to downtown Big D. With the holidays around the corner, everybody comes here to look at the Neiman Marcus Christmas tree. But that's not just it. Since 2000, the downtown Dallas population has grown to over 8,000 people live here, including numerous CEOs, developers, and entrepreneurs that make downtown Dallas their home base because of the favorable business climate, the close proximity to the mass transit and the rail, and because of that entrepreneurial spirit. Now there are 60,000 feet of co-working space in downtown Dallas alone, creating a lot of happy collisions between entrepreneurs. So if you're at accelerators like Tech and Health Wildcatters, you've probably already started bumping into folks from the Deck, the Grove, and Fort Worth. And just next door, longtime resident Common Desk expanded its co-working footprint at Deep Ellum. So we have got it going on. It's not the Garage in suburbia. It's not in other cities. It's not in Travis County. It's in Dallas. So amid all this activity, we also welcomed New City Summit to the Dallas Arts District and showcased Dallas's walkability, light rail system, and fleet of ride and car sharing solutions. Now, we can't stop this story without mentioning that DART has become the official transportation provider for Dallas Startup. And so, if you don't have your startup discount, go to dartup.co because they are providing a collaborative ecosystem, eco-friendly environment to help entrepreneurs live, work, and play here in Big D. So we've covered 3 big topics. Now I'd like to turn it over to our next presenter, Lauren Zine, Vice President of Global Marketing at Velocis and COO of Launch DFW, to talk about the events and programs that defined this great year. Lauren?
Hi, everybody. I'm Lauren Zine. They tasked me with talking about coffee, pizza, and beer. So here we go. Well, okay, so to be fair, it wasn't just the 12,000 cups of coffee consumed at events and programs in 2014. It was also the 320 new startups, apps, and ideas these programs showcased in DFW. After the last startup weekend, we lost count of how many slices of pizza and beers were consumed in 2014, but I can tell you it was a lot. But we would like to thank the numerous sponsors who stepped up to support our caffeine-hooked, beer-guzzling, pizza-eating entrepreneurs. Thanks, y'all. When you add up the total hours spent in DFW on entrepreneur events and programming, it's humbling. It's humbling because we're not just monetizing, scaling, and exiting, although we're also doing that. It's because they're educating, serving, and giving back. Many of these groups are not-for-profits and volunteer-led organizations designed to help our region's entrepreneurs succeed. Take the organization I run, Launch DFW. For instance, we are so passionate about making entrepreneurs succeed that we don't know what the word weekend means. I thought about bringing out my inner rap star to talk about all the great organizations, but it got kind of complicated when I tried to rhyme House of Genius. So instead, I'll just share a quick by-the-numbers overview of how many groups made us learn and grow in DFW. Starting with Startup Weekend. 4 Startup Weekend events were held in North Texas this year, in Dallas, Denton, and for the first time in Fort Worth. On top of that, there were 2 Startup Weekend boot camps with roughly 220 participants who developed and tested 29 ideas throughout 54-hour weekend events. Talk about a weekend. This was also the first year that Dallas ran a vertical Startup Weekend event held in education and health sectors. At Startup Next, startup evangelist and entrepreneur Kevin Strawbridge led 2 programs this year where 17 startup teams learned about customer development methodologies over the course of each 5-week program. Kevin's in the back, everybody. One of these teams, Virtual Visit, showed up to the Dallas Startup Weekend boot camp with just an idea and ended up taking first place at Startup Weekend Health that following weekend. The team then continued on to be accepted into Startup Next program that wrapped up last month. The rapid ascent of Virtual Visit underscores the collaborative nature of the North Texas startup scene and the resources available here that make it possible to have such an immediate impact on local innovative growth. Dallas New Tech, or #BigDNT, is just over 1 year old last month. We actually held the last event last night. Dallas New Tech has featured 71 tech startups at its monthly showcase and draws a regular attendance of about 300 people. Dallas-based startup Blown Away was funded literally the day after they pitched at Big D&T in September for a 6-figure investment. Oh, and Virtual Visit, which I just mentioned, they are one of our January presenters. Back to coffee. There are 5 open coffee clubs now, 2 in Dallas, 1 in Fort Worth, 1 in Denton, and 1 with a video game focus in Plano. This weekly program has put in over 112 hours of discussion centered around tech and startup community. You may have attended the Kauffman Foundation's 1 Million Cups at the Deck or the Fort Worth program at Ideas Works on a Wednesday morning during any of the 49 weeks in 2014 and heard one of the 102 startups pitch. The program consumed over 3,000 cups of coffee. Or maybe you're more of a happy hour type, and we're at one of Launch DFW's 16 happy hours this year, where 1,135 attendees collaborated over 2,837 alcoholic beverages. Promise we do more than drink coffee and drink beer. Promise. House of Genius. This unique program emerged in December last year and hosts 2 entrepreneurs each month in an anonymous setting. In 1 year, they've hosted 108 collaborators and 32 presenters. Dallas-based startup Need presented earlier this year. This men's fashion online retailer, founded by Matt Alexander, has raised $425,000 in funding, sustained its profitability, and tripled its membership. They're now on the cusp of launching their second concept, says Matt, thanks to some insights he received at House of Genius. If you're looking for a co-founder, you may have been one of the 275 people that attended the Co-Founders Lab meetups this year in Dallas, Addison, or Plano. It's seriously cool when things like Lean Machine Startup come to DFW. An international program launched in Addison for the first time this year and coordinated by DEC ambassadors and community leaders Kyle Taylor and Kara Brown. With their focus on validating ideas, the 68 participants used over 350 Post-it notes throughout the weekend and came up with 8 innovative and customer-validated ideas. And it's cool when old world and new world collide, such as in the North Texas App Challenge, presented by the North Texas Commission and the Clean Web Initiative, which brought the city of Dallas and the city of Denton and the town of Addison together with entrepreneurs to solve real-life issues for residents over water, sanitation, and health. Over $80,000 in cash and prizes were awarded to the teams. Dallas also hosted events that attracted national influencers. For example, 200 investors, corporate, and community leaders across 20 states came to downtown Dallas to talk about national trends in angel investing at the inaugural Angel Summit. The DEC has its own community program called the DEC Ambassador Program. This year, 55 DEC ambassadors spent over 2,500 hours volunteering their time in the back and getting connected with over 30 local and national organizations. And P.S., they're broadcasting us tonight, so hi, Dad. And they have an exciting announcement to share at the end of this program, which I don't know about, so it must be exciting. I could say a lot more, but now I'll hand it off to those accelerator people. Unlike us program people who like to socialize, drink beer, and a lot of coffee, they like to educate. These organizations are really working hard to bring a new startup to life through connections, mentors, and capital. So please welcome to the stage, Director of United Way Ground Floor Program, Kate Knight. Cheers, everybody.
so I don't get to talk about booze and pizza and stuff, but it's still a really exciting time. I think we can all agree to be starting something new in North Texas. The region now houses 9 seed accelerator programs, 11 incubator programs, and 17 co-working spaces. These resources span sectors and suburbs to serve all of our communities, and this creates more opportunity here in North Texas to grow companies locally, partner with cities across the Metroplex, and gain better access to the national venture funding scene with greater chance for growth and for success. It's an exciting list of programs for 2014. These are the groups that are making the system. Ooh. A little mood lighting. Okay. No booze, but we get to have some sexy lighting when we talk about the incubators. That's good. Okay. Anyway, so this year we saw the launch of new incubators like IdeaWorks in Fort Worth. All right. Yes. So IdeaWorks is a nonprofit backed by donors, sponsors, and the city of Fort Worth, which serves startups through entrepreneur roundtables, educational events, and community engagement. We also launched the Addison Treehouse. I love it. Let's hear it. A public-private partnership between the DEC and the town of Addison, which demonstrates that in our region, economic development is about more than just helping big companies, but also helping power small businesses as well. There's DFW Accelerator, which is a Richardson-based incubator. Anyone here? No? There we go. That's connecting local and international entrepreneurs to capital sources in China. And the Garage Incubator is based in Deep Ellum. So there's all kinds of new, see, there's someone from all of these places. This is awesome. There's a lot of new incubators out there. But the established incubators have been busy this year as well. The Dallas Entrepreneur Center, which at this point we all know is also more fondly known as the DEC, moved into some awesome digs and has housed over 100 startups in their space this year. They've had more than 15,000 visitors, and they've provided over 650 hours of coaching and feedback for entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs through its mentorship program as a free resource to the community. Over at Tech Fort Worth, they celebrated a huge win this year with the IPO of their 2009 graduate, ZS Pharma. ZS Pharma was the first IPO of a biotech company in Texas in 10 years. Yeah. They raised $107 million and now have a market cap of $900 million. Pretty awesome. And there's a lot to talk about on the accelerator front as well. VentureSpur is making headlines as the only retail and restaurant-focused accelerator program in the world. This year, they featured startups from across the globe, from New Jersey to Mexico and Georgia to China. 4 of the 6 companies in this year's class have decided to stay in Dallas. Yeah. I think that's a great indicator of companies planning in North Texas because they believe that the resources, customers, and capital here will help make them more successful. Meanwhile, Health Wildcatters, which is the only health tech-focused accelerator in the Southwest, they graduated their 2nd class last month during Global Entrepreneurship Week. The 12-week program made $30,000 investments in 11 startup companies from across the U.S. and the world, and they announced earlier this year that its inaugural class has collectively raised $4.6 million. Their partner entity, Tech Wildcatters, is currently housing a portfolio of 63 companies that have collectively raised more than $40 million in capital and have helped create more than 300 jobs. Applications are open right now for the spring class, and with results like that, competition is really tight. So any entrepreneurs in the B2B space that are thinking about getting into an accelerator, this is definitely the program for you to consider. And the program I run, the Ground Floor Accelerator, we're the do-gooders of the bunch. It's important too, guys. Ground Floor is a social innovation fund and impact accelerator that launched in 2013. And we recently announced our second class of social ventures that will participate in our accelerator through next June. We were also proud to announce that our inaugural class leveraged investments of $310,000 to raise an additional $1.9 million in funding to get their work launched in North Texas, where they're changing lives of the people in our community that need it most. Thank you. There's also some new accelerators on the scene. Accelerate NFC is a new program this year that invested in 4 startups. And Collide Village Accelerator program, yes, they started off with a bang. They received over 120 applications in the fall and selected 6 startups for its 4-month program that launched in November. And finally, Accelerate Your Startup at SMU invested $5,000 in 5 startups and took them through a semester-long program last spring. The startups were housed at the deck over the summer, and the deck will be offering the same program again this spring, as well as launching a similar program at Austin College in Sherman. So there's a lot going on all over the place. And hopefully you followed all that and all the numbers you got before and all the ones that are coming, because there's going to be a test later, right? You know, there's so much. But really, you know, what we're trying to do in the incubator and accelerator space is get the early stage stuff right so that companies can move on to the next stage, angel and venture capital. So now I'm going to hand it over to Kevin Vela of Vela Keller and the Dallas Angel Network to give a DFW investor update.
Thank you. I'm very honored to speak. It's very exciting to be here. First of all, let's say thank you to Trey, Jennifer, Jeremy, and the deck for everything that they've done. I don't think it's any coincidence that the rocket-like trajectory of the startup scene in Dallas parallels with the founding of the deck. So hats off to you, Trey, and your team. Now, there's never been a shortage of investment dollars in the Metroplex. I think anyone who is in this space is aware of that. But traditionally, those dollars had been reserved for oil and gas and real estate deals. I think in the late 90s, early 2000s, we saw some nice venture capital activity here in North Texas, but it largely went away in the mid-2000s. Well, I'm happy to say that that activity is back. Based on the published data, VC investments in the first 3 quarters of 2015, VC investments into companies in North Texas totaled $323 million across 32 companies. Now, that ranks Dallas 18th for venture financing in the country. 18th. I think Dallas is somewhere between the 4th and the 6th largest metropolitan area, including Fort Worth, in the United States. There's a lot of opportunity there. I checked earlier today, Dallas has the 10th most millionaires, and the average, per capita income in Dallas is somewhere between 10 and 15 in the United States, depending on where you look. So there's a lot of opportunity for growth here, and I think what we're seeing is that investment activity should increase. Those top investments, the top VC investments that you saw were $84 million at Teacher Synergy, $50 million in Teladoc, and $40 million to ZS Pharma, who subsequently IPO'd, as mentioned earlier. Excuse me. This year saw the strongest second quarter in investments since 2006. In fact, our second quarter investments this year were 5x what they were last year. Keep an eye on that quarter over quarter growth, because I believe this is going to continue in the near future. The VC deals in this town or in this area are led by Trailblazer Capital. And Trailblazer Capital, you would be led to believe, is led by Joel Fontenot, who's sitting here. But I think Trailblazer is led by a couple of guys. But we appreciate all the activity of Trailblazer, who deployed over $5 million in capital in just the last year. Other active venture groups in the area include Green Park and Golf Ventures, who I'm increasingly seeing, Dallas Venture Partners, who I know are seeing a lot of great deals, Naya Ventures, who are very well connected in the tech space, and the Dan Fund. Each of these funds has deployed at least $1.5 million in the last year, and we expect those numbers to increase. Also, it's important to note that Trailblazer does run the Venture Spur Accelerator, which operates out of the deck, so it's increased activity for Trailblazer. Now, VCs only exist because angels exist, and angels only exist because accelerators exist. So these accelerators that Kate told you are feeding the angel ecosystem, which will continue to feed the VC ecosystem. A recent study says that 12% of angel investments made during earlier quarter in 2014 were made in Texas. So Texas is seeing increased angel activity. Now, a lot of that angel activity comes out of, or traditionally has come out of Austin and Houston. But I am deep into the angel space, and there's some other guys here who are the same, and from talking with them, we know that this activity is really picking up here in North Texas. I had an opportunity to speak with Ryan Roberts, Shamir Soni, another attorney, does a lot of startup work. We roughly estimate that we have helped to facilitate somewhere between $35 and $45 million in angel deals just in the last year or two. And again, these angel deals are what's going to seed these venture deals. On top of the angel activity that we're seeing other avenues for companies to get involved. We have large corporate partners, large banks. Anytime banks are loosening their pocket strings, or their purse strings, this is a good thing, right? Comerica Bank recently awarded $50,000 in cash and prizes at a Dallas-based event. That's fantastic. You know, Comerica's only been in Dallas for a few years. So it's exciting to see a corporate partner like that. Moreover, Capital One did something similar in Fort Worth where they awarded $12,000 in cash and prizes. On this same kind of prize or award thought, Trailblazer Capital has also been active in this when they awarded $15,000 in cash and prizes, the winner of which was Caraloop, who, as we mentioned, had received $400,000 in funding earlier this year. And there's been several other similar contests around the area. Moreover, we are seeing the big Fortune 500 companies that are here open up investment arms. 7-Eleven, TI, Samsung has a large office here, AT&T. All of these guys are active in the tech and startup community making early stage investments. And then, of course, there's Mark Cuban companies. I think everyone's familiar with Mark Cuban. In case you haven't been following along, he's been very active on Shark Tank, but he's also very active locally. He invested in the Bluetooth-enabled light bulb company, iLumi, which, let's give a round of applause for iLumi. It's been a fantastic win for the area. He invested in Expire, which was founded by a computer science student at UNT who reached out to Mark via Twitter, and Mark responded there. Very neat deal there. Also, there was a Dallas-based company named Reviver, which is a deodorant clothing wipe. Reviver did not receive favorable use from Cuban, but did walk out of Shark Tank with $150,000 in investment. Moreover, the activity's so good here that we got guys from Austin coming up here to do deals. Live Oak Ventures, which was founded by a couple of guys who left Austin Ventures, raised a nice fund, announced they're coming to Dallas, have already invested $3.5 million in Raspberry Technologies, a Carrollton-based company. Finally, the last point I want to make about the investments you're going to see is crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is very exciting. If you haven't been following along, Texas was the 13th state to allow intrastate crowdfunding. What this means is that Texas companies can raise money from Texas investors with very little oversight or very few regulations from the State Securities Board, and because it's intrastate, you don't have to worry about the SEC. We have already seen several successful crowdfunding for products or crowdfunding for early sales companies here in Dallas, including, well, in Fort Worth, including Drop Shades, the TCU undergrads who raised $78,000. iLumi had already raised $100,000 prior to their investment from Cuban. And finally, Chewy, the world's most intelligent doorbell, raised $86,000 in pre-orders. Look, venture capital seeks opportunity and growth, but it can only survive in a healthy startup ecosystem. That startup ecosystem has several inputs that go into it, including the deck, including accelerators, including angel investors, and including people like you. As you can tell, there's a lot of fuel in Dallas right now for this startup ecosystem. What we are seeing right now is only going to continue to mature and grow and we will be able to reap what we sow. If 2014 is any indication, 2015 is going to be a banner year for investing in startups in North Texas. That concludes my portion of the investor update. Now on to TCU professor, entrepreneur in residence, and seasoned entrepreneur, Michael Sherrod, to share an update on how our powerful university ecosystem, which partners with students, entrepreneurs, and investors, is creating the next wave of growth in our region.
Well, thank you very much. I just want to point out that my part of the program this evening is going to be talking about the front end of the funnel, creating young entrepreneurs who are going to fuel all of this ecosystem in the future. And some of them from TCU are over here tonight, my class, Ventures in Transition. Would you guys stand up? Give them a hand if you would. So North Texas benefits from more than 25 colleges and universities who have programs that are leading the nation in the field of entrepreneurship and business. Programs at SMU's Cox School of Business, UTD, Dallas's Naveen Jindal School of Management, UTA, Baylor University, UNT and their Innovation and Greenhouse Program, and Neely's School of Business, as well as the Neely Entrepreneurship Center in Fort Worth. These programs have a growing impact locally and internationally. But there are also many other interesting developments from 2014 serving all tiers of the student ecosystem and creating real results for the entire region. Interest in entrepreneurship has grown incredibly rapidly over the last few years, and this has been seen in the growth of these programs. Recently, for instance, the dean of the UTD Jindal School shared that there is an expected growth in enrollment of about 17%, with a total of 1,180 students expected to take innovation and entrepreneurship courses at UTD. That is extraordinary. At TCU, we have an entrepreneurial management program that has 170 students in it, which is pretty large for the size of our university. This is happening at every level of the college and university scene. Because students love competition and awards, we're also seeing a lot more business competitions at all the major schools. Together, creating 144 teams with more than 350 students participating. Together, the student teams were awarded a total of $161,500 in cash and prizes this last year. And TCU's Values and Ventures program brought schools from as far away as Monrovia and the Netherlands to compete in some of these competitions. We also like the story of UNT's Innovation Greenhouse, which reminds me a lot of AOL's Greenhouse back in the early 1990s. This past year, it helped 36 student startup teams apply what they learned in the classroom to their business ideas. And many went on to win cash awards like the Founders Award from TCU, the North Texas Apps Challenge Award, and the Sabre App Hackathon Challenge Award. One of the Innovation Greenhouse's student strategists, Clarissa Redwine, took a trek across the ocean this summer to London and was selected to join the Barclay Accelerator program powered by Techstars. While we love to see young adults venture and get experience in other parts of the world, it's always great to have them come back and share their new perspectives with our community. Since her return, Clarissa has been making an even bigger impact in her role at the Denton Tech Mill and continues to build an even more connected Denton startup community. There are also serious dollars coming to students who start companies here in North Texas. Accelerated Ventures at Baylor, which has partnered with the Addison Treehouse, accelerated 8 companies in 2013 and invested $36,000. As we mentioned earlier, the Accelerate Your Startup program at SMU enabled 5 companies with a total of $25,000 total, with a new class starting again in January. Austin College is going to be launching their first mini accelerator program starting the spring semester through a partnership with the DEC. Meanwhile, the Venture Development Center at UTD has helped 35 companies in 2014, and those companies have raised over $5 million in federal grants, as well as some equity investment. Also out of UTD is the Startup Launch Track, which is within the Naveen Jindal School of Management's Master Program in Innovation and Entrepreneurship. And speaking of UTD, they have a new entrepreneurship club on campus. Now, this is an interesting development, entrepreneurship clubs. When I was in college a long time ago, there was nothing around entrepreneurship. There was no way you could network. There was no way you could meet with other people who were interested in starting companies. But these clubs are gaining a tremendous amount of attraction on campuses. SMU's Cox School of Business boasts 2 entrepreneurship clubs for grad and undergrad students. The UTD E-Club attracts 150 students at their events from all 7 schools. UTA's Entrepreneurship Society has 79 members from all across campus. And meanwhile, TCU Entrepreneurship Club is the largest chapter affiliated with the National Collegiate Entrepreneurs Organization and one of the largest and most awarded organization not only on TCU's campus but across universities in the entire region. Since they've won the top undergraduate entrepreneurship club in the United States 2003, 2009, and in 2013, and have over 300 members. In fact, one of our club members, Tanner Agar, launched the Chef Shelf, which creates packages and ships chef-made products. And while he's been finishing up his last year of school and is one of my students, Tanner has been growing his company by utilizing the resources afforded by the Entrepreneurship Club, pitching his business at 1 Million Cups, and networking with other entrepreneurs at Tech Fort Worth, where he offices. He also, with another team, was the winner in the Startup Weekend in Fort Worth. And you can meet Tanner tonight. He'll be part of the Startup Expo hosted later this evening. Now I'd like to hand it over to Hunter Johnson of American Airlines to talk about how companies can play a key role in the ecosystem, entrepreneurial ecosystem.
Thanks, Mike. Let's see, let me find my page. Okay, so as most of you know, there's a lot of large Fortune 500 companies in Texas and also in North Texas. I think there's some 18 in the DFW area alone, and I'm lucky to work with a lot of them. And if there's anything I've learned in the last 2 years of this job at American Airlines, it's that we all have to work together. And that means that these large companies are playing a much larger role in the entrepreneurial arena. And we've got that covered with companies in DFW stepping up today to play the role of supporter, accelerator, and innovator. I'm proud that my own employer, American Airlines, has worked to build a long-standing relationship with the startup community. We like to support startups taking flight, and I mean that literally. Like when we worked with Startup Texas and Tech Wildcatters to offer free flights and bonus points for their startups. This year, we beefed up our program to include more benefits with a partnership through the deck, allowing startups to send entrepreneurs like Andrew Schultz of Join Me At to showcase their mobile in-store deal solution at the Atlanta Food and Service Expo, and Sean Shanson of Health Funder to showcase at the Tech Cocktail Celebrate Summit and meet face-to-face with potential investors. I'm running out of time? Another company within DFW, Radio Shack, has stepped up as one of the first marquee corporate sponsors of the business incubator IdeaWorks Fort Worth, adding senior advisors to their advisory council, providing financial support and technology products for the space and its members. Just like universities and venture capitalists, local companies are also behaving as accelerators. One example of this is SoftLayer. They were recently acquired by IBM, but IBM announced they also announced the IBM Global Entrepreneur Program for cloud startups, where qualifying startups can receive up to $120,000 worth of credits to put towards IBM cloud usage, helping entrepreneurs to launch their businesses and focus their resources on coding, building, scaling, and bringing innovations to the market. Innovation matters to the bottom line, so it makes good business sense that local companies are creating innovation programs to work with the startup community. As Holly mentioned earlier, AT&T's Foundry in Plano ran 6 hackathons and workshops this year in areas focusing on connected car, public safety, embedded systems, women in tech, and home automation. Meanwhile, a startup within American Airlines that we spun off back in the 90s, Sabre, organized their first hackathon at Sabre headquarters in Southlake. The 24-hour Code Fest culminated in the creation of 16 unique travel apps. I hope they're not any of my competitors now. Developers came from as far away as Silicon Valley and New York and were as young as 15 years old. The first prize winner was a team from the Texas Academy of Mathematics and Science, or TAMS High School in Denton. And they received $15,000 in cash. Sabre was also a sponsor in last month's Startup Weekend in Fort Worth. They're not the only ones, though. Capital One, Getting Down to Business program, is accepting up to 15 businesses per year for mentoring and support from Capital One. Barclay selected McKinney as a site for Barclay's Technology Center, which is expected to create 500 new jobs in North Texas. IBM also launched an innovation center in the Colony and has had 120 events with over 2,000 attendees and over 200 organizations in the last year alone. Microsoft has also held hackathons around North Texas. One hackathon in particular, which was held at the deck with more than 150 participants and focused on the Connect platform. Several of the original developers of Connect, as well as the leader of the Connect team, came down and were present and making real-time updates to the SDK while people were hacking on the product. And even more companies are also stepping up and prepared to commit for startups in 2015. I'd like to commend Chase Bank and their sponsorship of the first Dallas Startup Week next March. I admit that's a lot of information for everybody to swallow in the last few minutes, but it all means something to the growth of our community. I'd like to hand it over to Mike Sidorowski to help us look forward to 2015.
It's the last section, so we're almost done. Don't worry about that. So what I was going to do up here is come and read the section that I was given, and I think it's a really wonderful section. So I'm going to start with that, but I'm going to end with a section on Dallas Startup Week because I think it's really important. It's named Dallas Startup Week, but there's a lot more to it. So, you know, in the last hour, you've heard a lot about the truly amazing stories of Dallas accelerating its role in the national landscape for entrepreneurs, startup creation, investment, and innovation. You've heard that this story is one that spreads from Fort Worth to Denton to Dallas to McKinney, hitting many of DFW's most iconic communities and neighborhoods, and including students, career entrepreneurs, growth companies, and partners. What are the ingredients that make Dallas great? Well, this is where I go off script a little bit because we're running out of time, and I think it's a wonderful time to do that, and I'm really good at it. When I came back from Boulder about a year and a half ago, one of the questions that I had was, how do you create community in something like Dallas-Fort Worth, right? We have 9,200 square miles. We have 26 suburbs around 13 counties. And the way you do that is you create things that everybody wants to go to. You connect all of those different cities into one giant ecosystem so that it feels like community, right? So Dallas Startup Week is that. One of the major features of Dallas Startup Week is going to be what we call City Fair. So how many people are outside or here from outside of Dallas proper tonight? That's quite a few people, right? So what we're going to do there is we're going to have advocates, 4 companies from each suburb come to Dallas Startup Week and represent their suburb. So or their city, because Fort Worth is not a suburb. But what we'll do is we're going to have people from Denton, we'll have people from McKinney, as far away as Anna, from Fort Worth, from Southlake, from all over the place, so that when people come into Dallas for Startup Week, they can be exposed to our entire ecosystem all at once, right? Does that sound like a lot of fun? So it's inclusion, right? So Boulder has it really easy. I know there are people from Boulder watching because I sent out the tweet for the stream. But, you know, it's really easy when you have a city of 100,000 people and a small downtown. It's really great and easy to create community. And I think what we've done here is pretty fantastic. Having 13 counties and 26 cities feel like one. What do you guys think about that, right? All right. So, I also want to thank Chase. I want to thank SoftLayer and DART for stepping up as the transportation sponsor for the Dallas startup community. I think that's a really important part of our ecosystem here. And also, I want to thank the deck for giving everybody the opportunity to come up here, get this thing together, and say a few things about our wonderful community. So thank you very much.
The date of Startup Week is March 2nd, 2015. Thank you guys for being here. I promise we just have a couple more minutes left. I know there's been a lot of days for you, and that was intentional, so that you recognized whether you were looking ahead or behind or in the bathroom or the bar, that you cannot escape the amazing activity that's going on here. We want to share some bigger news that keeps us on track to make North Texas even better for entrepreneurship. We're challenging you to help us find 10,000 faces of Dallas, entrepreneurs in the Metroplex that showcase the diversity and power of the North Texas entrepreneurship. We're looking for that 0.0001% that position our city to be greater than the rest of the country. Our DEC ambassador team has set up a site where you can become a visible space on how DFW does entrepreneurship. It is at thefacesofdallas.com. Once again, thefacesofdallas.com. Whether in Denton, Dallas, Plano, or Southlake, Carrollton, or Fort Worth, if you are an entrepreneur, aspiring entrepreneur, or considering entrepreneurship, we want to see you. And if you're a community leader, we want to invite you to the group's participation. You can visit the site, once again, thefacesofdallas.com. And also learn about our Twitter hashtag 10KFaces. It'll just take a minute to connect with us and show us your face, to ask others in your entrepreneurial network to participate. Please commit to sharing this initiative with 3 friends, just 3 entrepreneurs or people that you know are interested in entrepreneurship in their community that will respect this and find interest in it. It's our vision that we'll see men, women of every neighborhood, every race, and every business stage become reflected. Let's make this happen so that 2015 is even more powerful for startups and more inclusive of a community. Hopefully you've seen the rapid amount of growth and expansion we've seen in Dallas and all of North Texas in just the last 12 months. But this entrepreneurial activity is not new. Dallas was built on this can-do spirit that has been consistent since we were founded in 1841. Countless entrepreneurs, businessmen and women, and city leaders have built this great city upon the entrepreneurial fortitude and leadership of our community. Over and over and over, we see a consistent sense of community and support for entrepreneurs. And we all have a story of how someone stepped up to help another person to be successful in this region. The greatness of our region can be found not just in the entrepreneurs or educators or investors, but rather in an ecosystem where all groups come together and work in harmony to build community that supports, encourages, and works together for the betterment of all our people. Dallas is truly an international business city with a city where people actually feel compelled to help each other. What makes us different? What makes us great? That is what makes us great. It's not just our infrastructure, like having the number 1 arts district in the country, or the largest in the country, 18 Fortune 500 businesses that are headquartered here, or the 25 billionaires that are headquartered here. It's not just about infrastructure, it's about the people. People like you and people like me that believe in the future of what this region can be. They believe that Dallas and North Texas is a region, but they also believe that in order to reach the top of the region, we must continue to build and stimulate and empower the entrepreneurs in our community to achieve greatness. 50, 100, or even more years from now, Dallas will be a leading city if and only if we focus on our citizens and their ability to create the world for their. We all believe in the country to start with the help of everyone in our community that can actually make that possible and make people outside of this region. So tonight we leave you with a challenge to get involved, to help support the entrepreneurs of the community. This could be as a mentor or advisor, it could be as a corporation stepping up and partnering and sponsoring the community, or it can even be as a promoter, sharing the news of what's going on with your friends. Once we recognize that we have a responsibility to get involved, we all have a responsibility. And with that responsibility comes a couple things. Number 1 is the realization of the responsibility. 2 is the recognition of what that responsibility needs. But we believe that North Texas can be a leading region in the world if you are responsible in whatever capacity that you can do that. The future of this region is on our shoulders, and we ask you to step up and play your role in the ecosystem to continue to make Dallas and all of North Texas the best place in the world to be an entrepreneur. Thank you guys for coming out tonight. Thank you to the community leaders who are here, who stepped up and led. Thank you to our sponsors, Dallas Regional Chamber, SoftLayer, TriNet, Silicon Valley Bank, and Vela Keller. To our DEC deal of time and support. support tonight. I want to point out this person in particular, Arcia, who wrote the entire script for tonight. If you just stand up and everybody give a round of applause. This is about all of us. This is about all of us playing our role. Figure out what your role is. Figure out how you can serve and commit and contribute to this ecosystem. All right, so the night's not over. We're done with this part. But down the hall, about 150 feet, there are 20-something startups and booze that you can all go down there and check out and actually see, talk to, and interact with the companies that are building the future of our city and of our region. Thank you guys again tonight. Thank you for support. Have a great night and a happy holidays. You're dismissed.